How is it that a 20-something-year-old made a game that earned $5.3 million on Steam alone, and how did he pull it off again with a new game well on its way to making bank? Well, it all boils down to this. Gavin of Two Star Games has learned to literally hack your brain to force you to watch his devlogs and buy his games using 3 core strategies. I wish this wasn't true, but after researching what he's been up to and what most indie developers, including myself, get wrong, I'm convinced that every one of us needs to master these strategies if you want any chance of succeeding with your game. But first, I need to establish something very important. When I first saw Gavin's game Choo Choo Charles, I thought this guy made the dumbest game of all time and everybody ate it up. But my game is cool and has a deep story about sacrifice, but nobody cares. Why does Gavin get all the luck and not me? But when I saw that Gavin put a ton of thought into what he does, I swallowed my pride and realized that succeeding as a game developer isn't a gamble at all. It's a learnable skill just like anything else. So how do you reliably succeed on Steam? Well, what Gavin realized is that for a game to reach a certain level of success, it has to be a certain level of fun. Gee, ain't that obvious, but it's actually not what you think. Because after releasing Choo Choo Charles, Gavin determined that fun, something so hard to put into words, is actually objective. There's something that applies to every single human being that when indie games tap into, they blow up. But before talking about how to do this, you probably have the very reasonable concern that even trying to will make you either have to make some kind of manipulative Skinner box game or compromise your vision. But if you do this right, you won't have to. The most beloved games of all time have figured this out. Minecraft is the best example, but even recently, David Whaley's new game, We Harvest Shadows, everybody's talking about how much they love that game's deep message. It grabs our subconscious instincts too. They came for the hook, they stayed for the creativity or the story. So how do we get as many people as possible to experience these games that we put so much work into? Well, let's go back to Gavin's discoveries. Any activity we do creates a physical response in our brains. After cooking a great meal, cleaning the house, winning a fight, you feel good. You won't go hungry, you have a safe home, you can defeat your enemies. All of these come from our survival instincts. We want to gather resources. We want to develop technology. We want safety in numbers. We want to annihilate our enemies, but we don't really have to do that a lot these days. So what does all this have to do with games and entertainment? The more strongly your game fulfills these survival instincts and the more you emphasize those aspects in your marketing, the more hyped people will get about your game. Think about how Gavin did this in his games. Choo Choo Charles is about slaying an eldritch monster and developing technology to destroy him. Cuff Bust is about working together or against each other, strength in numbers, solving problems, imparting judgment on your fellow players, and working towards a common goal. David Whaley's game is about self-sufficiency, harvesting resources, creating order from chaos, and evading predators. Minecraft, well, it's all of these. The more concretely and specifically you appeal to these instincts, the more attractive your game will be. Even if you don't end up doing this, remember, if you aim for the target and miss, you'll miss. But if you aim for the bullseye and miss, you'll still hit the target, so it's at least worth trying. So keep this in mind when you're designing your game's messaging. But just appealing to these instincts is obviously not going to be enough to make successful games. The Steam market is only getting more and more crowded, and even if your game is super appealing, what's the guarantee that anyone will hear about it? Zero. This is where Gavin's second strategy comes in. To help get eyes on his games, years ago, Gavin turned to the best platform for doing just that: YouTube. But he didn't find any success until Choo Choo Charles, so what changed? YouTube is one of the scariest things for aspiring game developers to try because they know they're going to waste their time making devlogs no one will watch. They miss out on growing an audience, they fail to build trust, they have no one to test their game ideas on, and they don't grow their business because YouTube feels like an even worse gamble than game development. But when Gavin changed his YouTube strategy, not only was he saving time, but he was also blowing up every single video consistently. You don't do that with luck. See, when devs start YouTube, they immediately fall into bad habits that crush their chances of success, then wonder why the algorithm doesn't help them. But what Gavin does that all the most successful devlogs do is make videos for people, not algorithms. Let's put it this way. Who will ideally watch your devlogs? Your players. Why would they want to watch? Because your game has features that they want to see, and maybe they want to get a sneak peek behind the scenes of how games are made. Maybe they want to make games, but statistically they probably don't know the first thing about how. Covering what they want to see is the most important first step to a successful devlog. They're there to see your game. The next step is about efficiency. Trying to make devlogs every week or two is exhausting and a waste of time. It's okay to only release videos once in a while if you give yourself time to make that video awesome. But what makes an awesome video? If we're talking about making videos for people, not everyone cares that you used an event handler to optimize your code or modified third-party assets. What they do care about is your story. And to tell a story in his devlogs, Gavin breaks up the process into 3 main steps that he talked about during a live Q&A. First, introduce a conflict.
It's time to start adding some actual game mechanics.
Quickly say what your main goal is, adding weapons or a boss fight or whatever, then add an extra twist or stakes that will give the devlog another layer of intrigue.
They were pretty dumb. Heck, this is what IGN had to say about them.
So you'll either have to sneak around and wait for NPCs to walk by, or just run past them since they're
slow, stupid, and have poor aim.
I wish you never came here.
Somehow, I have to figure out how to make non-brain dead characters that are also working in multiplayer and like 10 times as complicated.
Now, they want to see you succeed. Then show your progress, but you can't just show a wall of code. How the gameplay changes as you work has to be immediately visually obvious every step of the way. And finally, keep throwing in some subtle reminders about the overall goal and how each step is helping or stopping you from reaching that goal. I've been able to blow up several videos with very few subscribers, so you definitely can too, but it takes a lot more than a well-structured devlog to get views and grow an audience. And if that's all you focus on, you'll build other bad habits and cripple your growth. So to avoid that and to learn all the ins and outs of growing a channel from scratch, I put together a program that will let you do just that, which is currently in beta until the new year. And if you get it now in the pinned comment, you'll get updates to it forever for free. Oh yeah, and this video is sponsored by me. But there is one more thing that we need to learn from Gavin when it comes to succeeding as a game developer. Gavin has not been trying to get this info too widespread, so I hope he won't be annoyed that someone's drawing attention to this, but it's important. Gavin makes millions of dollars from his games. In fact, his games make so much money that he started doing something that would make the average developer way more money than their games, but he does it for free. What am I talking about? Well, a lot of us, myself included, need to split up our businesses to make money from different sources. This is why a lot of us sell educational content. Gavin just wanted to talk about making successful games, so he started a second channel with unedited videos that only get a few thousand views, and we know he could get a lot more. Think about it this way: if you're going to sell a $10 game and need $100,000, you need to find 10,000 people to buy your game. You won't get that with a few thousand views per devlog, but if you have way less viewers but they really trust you because you have proven expertise in some skill, you need way less views and sales to earn the same amount on a higher priced product like a program or a course. That core audience will be eager to buy your stuff because they want to learn from you. Whether you want to make devlogs or teach some aspect of game development like art, animation, VFX, programming, getting the ball rolling on YouTube is difficult, but is also the most worthwhile thing you could possibly do. Go check out the beta for Become a Game Dev YouTuber. Best of luck with your games. Thanks for watching and God bless.